Okay. Hola Comadres, welcome to another episode of Comadreando podcast. I'm your host Marcy, and today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Vanessa, and I will let her introduce herself. Who are you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Vanessa Fondeur-Adams. Thank you for inviting me, Marcy. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, Vanny, tell us about yourself. Who are you? Are you a mom? Are you a sister, a tia? Tell us a little bit more about you.
So I am a sister, I am a daughter, I am a wife, I am a high school teacher, and I am a soul-led entrepreneur.
Amazing. All right. So me and Vanessa connected via our Brujas with the Mostest, the Brujas of Brooklyn. Vanessa and I connected because we were part of the sadhanas and the meditations and the, doing all the work to just kind of elevate ourselves and break generational curses. So through that, we've become closer, and also we run like basically in the same circles. She's also part of the Mami Chula Social Club as well, and we often interact at the different type of events that we have together, and also like personal things that we participate as well. So today's topic, Comadres, we're talking about making travel accessible and possible in communities of color. And the reason why the topic came up is because I've always wanted to travel to different countries. And I didn't really get a chance to start early because I was busy having a baby and being a mom and, being a wife and all of that. So when I was supposed to be traveling, I was doing all of those things. So now that I'm in my 4th decade, I want to start stamping the passport and getting multiple different stamps throughout the world. So, Vane, I love that you said that you're a high school teacher. So tell me a little bit about that. Like how did that come about? Did you always want to be a teacher?
No, not at all. When I came at 17 to the United States and I didn't speak one lick of English. I then ended up going to college and I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I knew that I was good with numbers. I'm like, I cannot do words, but I can do numbers. So I took a lot of chemistry, physics, trigonometry, all of those classes that had to do with numbers. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm going to become a dentist because, in our communities, it's either like doctor or lawyer or like very specific careers. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to become then a dentist. But then as I was in college, I took a Spanish class. I didn't need to take it because I already had all my credits. And I fell in love with it. It was a grammar and syntax class. And I'm like, oh my God, we always learn the language, but we never learn like the intricacies of why it is the way it is. And I just loved it. And I started taking more language classes and like Latin American culture and history classes. And I'm like, these are things that I never learned in my school about my own history, about my own culture. I was just in a bubble, Dominican Republic bubble, and then Queens, New York bubble until I went to college. So I loved the experience. And that's when I decided to then go switch my major, my junior year of college. And then I started taking more advanced literature classes. I went to Spain to study abroad. And then I did a master's in Latin American literature and Peninsular literature at Albany. And then I'm like, what do I do with this? I just did it, but not knowing where I was going to go until a sorority sister told me, oh, maybe you can be a teacher. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's how I became a teacher, pretty much. Someone told me that with this degree, you can become
amazing.
A teacher.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit about your childhood in the Dominican Republic and like what that transition was like, because you were 17 years old. So I'm sure it was part of your most formative years. And then, coming here and being a little bit in shock about the difference between your town in the Dominican Republic versus living in Queens, New York. So tell me a little bit about your cultural assimilation or really the culture shock of coming to the United States in your teenage years.
Yes. Well, in Dominican Republic, I live a very sheltered life. because I live with my mom was here already in the US. She came when I was 9, and then I didn't see her again until I was 17. So I live with my grandmother and my uncle, who were technically raising 10 kids. We were 4 from my mom's side, but they were also raising other cousins.
Oh my God.
That lived there. So it was a big household with a lot of kids. My uncle was in his 20s. He was very strict, but he had to because he was the only male in the house, and he had to make sure that he had order because we were too many kids. And of course, we were all in that teenage age where we were challenging things already. So
authority.
Yes. And I was the kind that, because I was the eldest woman, daughter, they always left me in the house to take care of the house. So whenever they went out, they would all go out and leave me in the house. And I'm like, my only outings were school and church. That's it. So I always took advantage of going to church on Sundays because I'm like, this is my only chance. And at school, I was always very invested in school. I always loved school because it was like the only place that I could socialize with people and do things. So then when I came to the US, my mom was a little bit more flexible. So I started going out more. I was in high school here. I joined every single club that I could, and it was just great. I started feeling like a little bit liberated. Like, oh my God, I am in all of these clubs and I can actually do things. And that's when I got the taste of, there is more out there. You can do more. So
I love that.
Yeah. But when it came to the cultural transition, to be honest, I didn't feel like a big shock. Like it was the language barrier, yes. But the school that I went to, Newcomers High School, is a school for immigrants. And I actually took all of my classes in Spanish. I took all of the Regents exams in Spanish. I took everything in Spanish.
That's
and it was
amazing.
It was kids from all over the world. There were no kids from the US. It was just kids from the anywhere, Bangladesh, Poland, Russia, Colombia, Venezuela, kids from everywhere. And that was the most beautiful experience that I ever had. Like even kids from Haiti. I'd never even met any kid from Haiti before. So that gave me like a global perspective when I went to that school. But then when I went to college, that's when it shocked me. Like there were literally only 28 Dominicans in the entire school. I knew it because we always met at someone's house and it was only 28.
Oh my God. That's
college
crazy.
For me was the real culture shock. I really have to speak English now too.
Yeah, that's interesting. So you said that you traveled when you were in college, you traveled abroad to Spain, yes?
Yes.
So what was that like? Because, like in Dominican culture, we're always like, ay, because tenemos un primo en España. We have a cousin in Spain, right? And people always want to claim that really distinct cousin over there. But what was it like for you as a Dominican traveling to Spain? What was that experience like for you at that age?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I didn't even think I would ever make it to Spain. It was because I saw a sorority sister and she was going to Senegal. And I was like, how did you go there? And she said, oh, studying abroad. I didn't even know what studying abroad was. Like I had no idea. So it wasn't until I asked her and then I started talking to a professor and he told me, yes, there are scholarships you can apply to. And that opened up a whole world of possibilities for me because I'm like, okay, so there are resources out there. You just have to ask. Keep asking people until you get there. I went to financial aid and I asked them, I want to travel for the study abroad. How can I make it happen? But it was like the graduating year. So we made it happen. Literally, we made it happen. They were like, if you leave 2 of your major classes for the summer, you take it in the summer, we can give you fall financial aid. You can still walk in May, but your transcript will say you graduated in August. And I was like, bet, let's do this. I will totally take graduating officially in August if he allows me to travel abroad. Now, traveling to Spain was literally how I caught the travel bug, because that experience being there and taking weekend trips to France and Portugal me desconectó.
It's okay. The last thing I heard was that you were gonna get the fall financial aid, and then I didn't hear anything else after that.
Okay, let me make sure that the mic is connected to the right one. Okay.
Yeah, the internet's slow. Is the internet router close to your computer where you are?
Yeah, it's right here. It's right
that's
here.
interesting.
And it has all the bars. Like como que tiene un strong
That's interesting.
No sé.
No sé.
Bueno, mira, ahora dice otra vez que having
vamos
communicated.
Estamos grabando still.
Where?
No, it's okay. We can pick up where we left off. So, guys, we got cut off, and basically, Vanessa was telling us how she was able to travel abroad during her last year in her undergrad degree.
Yes, and then I ended up going to Spain and taking weekend trips to Portugal and France, and that just opened up a whole world for me. That's when I literally caught the travel bug. You couldn't stop me after that. It was the most beautiful experience. I stayed in a convent, and I was taking classes, literature classes. And on the evenings, I will go to different towns. We were in Madrid, but we also went to Barcelona. And I met a couple of Dominicans. Of course, I had to find el barrio donde estaban los dominicanos. So I'm like, let me go over there. We ended up with a group of friends. We ended up going to a club, meeting more people. And like almost every day, we would like sneak out of the school and go meet them to do different things. It was so awesome. And
that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, and I just love that experience of exploring, taking myself out of my comfort zone. And like the beautiful thing was, because it was Spain, I didn't have the language barrier. It was just, in a new place. So let's discover this place, you know? So that made it more comfortable, the fact that it was in Spanish, everything. So.
Okay. So when did you become inspired to create this community of Latino world travelers? Because I know you had the travel bug, but then like, how did you think about like expanding it more to other people, to share with them?
Well, when I started loving to travel, I joined different groups on Facebook, but I didn't feel reflected in them, because they were mostly for Caucasians, or they were for African Americans. And I love being in them because I learned a lot and I made a lot of friendships, but there was always like a void. Like I didn't feel fully comfortable because culturally I wasn't raised in this country, so I didn't feel like I knew a lot of like the cultural things that they will talk about. And I just felt like a little bit out of place. So I said, how can I start then a community? So in 2015, I started a Facebook group, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have this Facebook group, share all of the knowledge that I have, all the resources that I know. Like there was a flight to Dubai. I'm talking about like 2012, 2013. And I was like, my community needs to know about this. $178 round trip to Dubai. I'm like, $300 to South Africa. I'm like, people need to know that you don't need to spend thousands of dollars to go on a trip. You can literally just take advantage of these little deals here and there. So I always had like that urge to share with my community and just to build community, like share our experiences together, because I will always have my mom tell me, ¿Y pa' qué tú vas para allá? You know? And I'm like, I want another community that's going to support me on my crazy ideas of wanting to go here or there, or to give me tips if they have traveled and I haven't been. So that's why I created the community at first, so we can share in our experiences and resources and build a beautiful community. And yeah, it has been already, what, 8 years? It's crazy.
I know. It's been a while. Yes.
Yes.
So since beginning the journey, what have you noticed has changed within yourself as you've traveled to all these different places and as you've met people? Because the thing is, it's not only that you travel the country, you also get to know the culture more deeply. That's what I love about you, because the thing is, like, there's people that leave the country and they feel like everybody needs to speak English and that everything needs to be the same customs as over here. And it's like, if you're leaving the country to think like that, why are you traveling? Like, just stay here. You don't have to go anywhere. You know?
Pretty much.
So, what are some of the, like, I don't know. Because, like, even, okay, so I'm not going to shit on people that go on cruises, but, like, there's people that love to go on cruises, and I feel that you really don't get to know the culture that way. You're traveling to so many different places, and I get it, like, okay, on break, right? But, like, for me, when I travel, I really like to get immersed in the culture and really get to know those people and see the beauty of it there.
Yes. So, I mean, one of the things that I learned about myself is how brave and courageous I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started traveling alone, because I'm like, I wanted to travel. My friends didn't want to travel. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait on people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I wait on people, I'm never going to go anywhere. So I just started traveling on my own. And one of the most beautiful trips that I had was when I went to Australia and New Zealand by myself. It was one of the best trips.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's like, in the process of you traveling, you get to know yourself. You're not depending on someone else to fall back on, to entertain you or to tell you where to go or what to do. You are just making your own decisions. What do I want to do now? What do I want to eat? And that is just a beautiful thing. You having that self-reflection and asking yourself, what do I want, instead of having other people decide for you. And one of the things I did, because I'm also crazy, I'm not gonna lie, I went diving in the Barrier Reef, and I don't even know how to swim. But I'm like, who comes to Australia and doesn't go to the Barrier Reef? Right? So I said, I'm going to put the tank on and I'm just going to get going. I held the guy's arm, the instructor, and we just went down. And I brought my GoPro because I'm like, I need proof of this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to throw yourself and do it scared. And that is one of the things that I learned about myself. Like, oh, just do it, even if you're scared. There are many things, like every day I do something that scares me to death. Right now, what scares me to death is pitching to brands. Literally, that I'm like, every time I'm gonna hit the send button, I'm like shaking. But I'm like, you gotta do it. If you wanna grow and you wanna take this community to the next level, you gotta do it scared. So that is one of the things that I learn about myself. The other thing is just opening myself up to, like you mentioned, the cultures, immersing myself. And I've done that through food. I tell myself, try it. You can then decide if you like it or not. But don't say, I don't like it, before you even try it. How do you know if you're going to like it? You don't. Yeah. So that's why one of the best trips I ever had too was to China, because it was so different than my culture. And trying those foods, I even tried a alacrán. How do you say that in English? Alacrán.
Scorpion.
Scorpions. And I'm like, let me just try this. And it was actually really good, really crunchy. I'm like, okay, this is not bad. And it has a lot of protein because, crickets and all that stuff, they usually have a lot of crustaceans. They usually have a lot of protein. So I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. But I would have never known that unless I tried it. Yeah. And that's why when I told you I'm an educator, I also travel with my students. And when I take my students, I tell them, you need to try this. We don't need to eat McDonald's in other countries. I mean, you could, just to see how it tastes, but we're not going to spend the entire trip eating McDonald's. No, I want you to try it. And once you try it, you can say, I like it or I don't like it.
Not only that, but then
and exposing them to that
Vanessa,
it fills me up so much, because once you get out of your comfort zone and you start trying things, it's like a chain reaction. It galvanizes you to like do more and want more for yourself.
Yes.
And
it's like our worlds can become so small, especially coming from like a small country and like or like, you know, coming from a small neighborhood and maybe coming from poverty. A lot of people don't see themselves leaving or like can't even imagine like leaving their neighborhood and doing something different. I feel like after becoming friends with you, I've become more adventurous in the sense that I'm no longer waiting for people to tell me, hey, let's go. I'm like, I'm gonna go by myself. If you want to join me, cool. If you don't, that's okay too. I'm still gonna go. And my mom is always like, oh, muchacha, ¿cómo tú vas a coger para allá sola? How are you gonna go there by yourself? I'm like, easy. There's people there. I talk to people. I'm communicative. I really like try to make friends wherever I go. And it's been one of those the most liberating experiences. Like the last trip that I did, I went to Mexico alone, but then before that, and for spring break, I went to Jamaica, and I stayed at this ecological conservation resort. And yes, I was in the resort, but I didn't stay on the resort. I like made friends with the concierge, and I was like, I want to really like get to know the culture. I want to eat really good food. I want to be able to do an excursion. So I went to the Blue Hole in because I stayed in, what is the name of that town? It was in Montego. I flew into Montego Bay, but then we went to. No se me está escapando, se me escapa. I'm forgetting the name of the town anyway. But we went to the Blue Hole and I dove into the cenote, and we swam there. Like stuff that I've never in my mind I would never have thought that I would have been able to do alone. And like you were part of the inspiration of just like, fuck it, just go, you know? And yeah, no, it's so interesting. And I feel like if you go with a spirit that's not adventurous, you miss out on so much and such richness of culture and really getting to know people on a more deeper level.
Yeah.
Because like the more you get to know people, you actually know that we're more alike than we are different.
Absolutely. We're definitely more alike. And that's one of the things that I love about traveling, like learning about how they live and why they behave the way they behave culturally. You know, that's why I love going to Egypt, for example. I love going to Egypt. Last time I went, I spent 30 days there because I'm like, I really, really wanted to see how people live there, not just coming to the touristy places, which I normally do. I mean, at the end of the day, there's no right or wrong way to travel.
Yeah.
As long as you're putting yourself out there, you know, and pushing yourself a little bit more each time. So I was very shy. I'm actually very, very shy. I don't look shy through camera because it's on camera. But in person, I'm super shy. I will be the one in the corner of the room. So traveling has allowed me to like engage more with people and to ask better questions to get the conversation going. I've actually taken like classes for networking because I was the kind that I would go. Look, when my husband was at Stanford, 2019, 2020, I went there to an event, a networking event. I rode my bike, went to the event, and then I freaked out and I turned around and went back. And then I started crying because I was like, look at you. You're at Stanford at a Latino event with all of these people. And what are you doing? You're like turning around and going back to the apartment instead of like trying to, you know, put yourself out there. And then I was pissed at myself. Like, why are you doing this? So, but, you know, it's all about like that self-discovery. And that's what travel allows you to do. Allows you to slow down from your daily life. Because sometimes we get so busy that we don't even get to have that introspection. And then once you go there, it's like, oh, now you get to ask yourself those questions. right?
That's true.
So that's why traveling is so important.
Yeah.
Because you get to know yourself.
I wanted to ask you, what was one of your best travel adventures that you've had so far? My favorite one that you've been on was going to Antarctica. What was yours?
I mean, that one is like the top of the top.
Oh my God, I love it.
I mean, and this is the power of putting things on paper, allowing yourself to dream. I do vision boards and I host vision board events, and I love manifesting my life. Sometimes, yes, you create goals and you work at them and you accomplish them, but sometimes it's just putting things on paper and manifesting them and asking the universe for them, and it will come to you. There are some things that are just like that. I put a penguin on my vision board and I said, I want to go to Antarctica because I want to visit the seventh continent, and the hashtag Latinos in Antarctica doesn't exist. And I even looked up Dominicans in Antarctica, and it was only one person, one woman. Wow. That's it. And I'm like, wow, how can I make this hashtag go trending? Or how can I just, create a buzz about like you being en cada rinconcito del mundo?
Yeah,
like, to show that Latinos can be and can go anywhere. There are no limits. And that was in 2017. And in 2020, there was a raffle. And I said, you know what? I'm going to buy 2 tickets for this raffle, $99 each ticket. And I won the raffle. And I was bawling out of control because it was a $17,000 trip for 12 days to Antarctica under the best company, which is Quark Expeditions, on their latest ship that they had just built last summer with helicopter and everything. O sea, una cosa del otro mundo. And I was like, I didn't even feel deserving of it when I won it.
Oh my God.
But it was like that moment of, wow, you put that out there? And I'm like, in a teacher's salary, there is no way I'm going to go. I mean, and the fact that I won such a caliber of trip, I was one of 2 Latinos. One was a Guatemalan who's the owner of McDonald's franchises, and the other Latina was me.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing.
And I'm like, look where I am. Dios mío, universe, thank you. Thank you more, please. Comadreism.
Yes.
And the thing is, the night before, I have a little altar, and I put water and incense, and I do I'm very spiritual. And I have the photo of my grandmother. And the night before, I was literally praying to her like, Grandma, if this is for me, make it happen. If it's not, I understand. That means I'm not aligned and it's not the time. It's okay. But if it's for me, make it happen. And the guy who was promoting the trip, he did an Instagram live, and he announced the winner live on the Instagram. It was insane. I cried for the whole day because I just couldn't believe it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And the other 2 times I've cried was when I went to China, because it was like my first long distance trip. And that's where I was like, wow, look at you, Vanessa. You came from Dominican Republic. You live in New York. And look where you are now, in China. What? Not even in my ancestors, my mom's, anyone's wildest dreams. No one in my family have ever gone to China, to Asia at all. And that's when I say, I want to bring my mom and I want to bring my students. And I brought them. I went there again and brought them. And it was just like a full circle moment. Now, the other trip...
What parts of China did you visit that time?
We went to Xi'an, Shanghai, Beijing, and then we went to Hong Kong also.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So it was a really good trip. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah. And just seeing my students light up, like, oh my God, because my school was in Chinatown in New York City, Pace High School. So they were allowed to go outside to eat lunch, but they will never eat the food from around there. So after going
I went to Pace University, and that campus there.
Wait, me too.
Yeah, I went to Pace. I was only there for like a year and a half, but that campus there has the best Chinese food. Because you're right next to Elizabeth Center.
Mm-hmm.
And in Elizabeth Center, there's so many little restaurants like hole in the walls that are mom and pop stores that have such good food. And the only way that I knew about it was because I befriended a few girls that were from China. And they were like, come, let's go eat today. And we're going to eat this kind of food today. And I was exposed to that. But the thing is, like, if you don't talk to people, there's no way that you're going to find things out like that. You know, you have to make friends and go out of your comfort zone.
Yes. And then my students would come back and tell me, Miss, look what I bought now. Look what I'm eating for lunch. And that was just like, yes, you know, because it's like you expose them, you show them that piece, and then they take wings and go. That's why, like, every time I travel, I will always create a presentation for my students and show them, this is what I did. This is where I went. I will bring them candy. So, like, part of my luggage was bringing back some goodies for my 160 students, because I'm like, I want you to know that I came at 17, didn't even speak the language, and now I have a degree, a career, and I'm able to travel. If I can do it, you can do it too.
Yes.
That was the main purpose why I also switched from private school to teaching public school. And I taught in public school for 10 years because I'm like, I wanted to teach this population because I want not only to relate to them, but for them to relate to me, for them to see more teachers of color in their classrooms.
Yes.
So
that was one of my whys also, because I felt like growing up here in New York, in Washington Heights especially, you would think that there was a lot of teachers of color. There was not, like, at least not in the 80s. So I felt like I wanted to reflect. I wanted to see what I would have liked to see when I was a kid in the classroom. What was I going to say? Sorry. So I was going to ask you, do you prefer solo travel as opposed to group travel, or you don't mind either one?
I don't mind. They both serve a purpose. I love traveling on my own. I love traveling with my husband, and I love traveling in groups. As long as it's like a good group. So make sure you choose wisely. Because
eso tremendo. Like,
when you
can be friends with somebody, but you don't really know them until you travel with them. And it's
yes, exactly. So make sure you're aligned on not only the travel style, but also because some people like to go very fast paced. Some people like to sleep in until 10 or whatever. So, and party at night. And some people like to spend a lot of money. Some people are, you know,
like to be on the budget.
Son tacaño también, you know, or they just don't bring enough money, you know, and then they're depending on you for things. So that's a whole other game. So just make sure you're very clear on what kind of trip it is and what exactly you're going to do and how much money everyone needs, so nobody feels it doesn't damage your friendship. Because that trip can make or break your friendship.
It's true. Oh my God. I wanted to travel. I was going to, it was my first solo trip. It was going to be a solo trip. And I was going to Puerto Rico, and then my friend, who was very, like, she's like more like open-minded. But at the time she was like, no, you can't go by yourself. What do you mean you're going to go by yourself? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go by myself. It's fine. Like, I've traveled to DR by myself. And she's like, no, take our friend with you. And so I took this person, and she was like one of those people that likes to sleep in at La Quimbamba. And we're only there for like 5 days. And I'm just like, you're wasting our vacation time. Like, just sleeping. You could have just stayed in New York and slept in your house. Like, really. So that was very interesting. And then I realized what type of traveler I am too. It's like very, not that I want to be up at the crack of dawn, but also I don't want to feel like I wasted my vacation days just sleeping in this foreign country when I could have just slept in my house. And not everybody feels the same way about it, but if it's my first time visiting, I want to know the culture and I want to see more. So the second time I went to Puerto Rico, I actually went with my mom and my son, and there we like rented a car and we like did excursions that we planned on our own, and we visited, like, we did a road trip in Puerto Rico, which was amazing. We went all the way from we were staying in Carolina, cerca de San Juan, and we went all the way to Cabo Rojo to see the beaches, because we heard that the beaches were amazing. So and Puerto Rico is actually like the roads are like easy to drive. It's not a hard country to drive in. So I felt like that was a great trip. And my son enjoyed it a lot as well. It's very different because the thing is, like, you know, you're comparing Dominican Republic to Puerto Rico, but it's like everything has its own charm and its own like
Correct.
positives and negatives, obviously.
Yeah, that's why when people ask me like, what's your favorite country? I'm like, I don't have one because I just enjoy where I travel for what it is.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah.
Where would I live if I were to live somewhere when I retire? Mexico, because Mexico has everything I want.
I love Mexico. So yeah, so that's another thing that people tend to fall into, like just traveling, especially as immigrants. We tend to like just fall into traveling back home all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm trying to get my mother away from that. So like, what tips do you feel that you have for like helping suggest like different destinations without having that fear, like, oh my God, something might happen to us? Because that was another thing. I took her to Mexico during the pandemic. I was like, she was tired and I was tired because we were caring for a loved one that was not physically well. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna take money from the stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought like round trip fares for me and her to go to Mexico for the first time. I had never been, and she had been before, but she had never been. Like, it was on a cruise, so she didn't really know the culture. So I booked Tulum and we did a couple of excursions out there. But even then, she was like, hey, what's gonna happen? I'm like, stop listening to the noticia. Like, the noticia is not there to help us. It's there to
That
put fear in
is
your heart.
true.
Like, relax. Like, it's fine. Obviously, everywhere is dangerous. Like, here in New York is dangerous. You have to learn how to be in a place without having that fear of feeling that you're gonna get hurt or that somebody's gonna do something to you. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Yes. I will say a couple of things. One, first talk about what activities she would like to engage in. Would she like a nice brunch at spa? Would she like, to drive or take public transportation? Because those things can determine what kind of destination you select. Do you want it to be like super easy going, or do you want to like really go out there and explore and challenge yourself? Do you want it to be a spiritual trip where you learn about like different churches or temples, or, do you want to challenge yourself with the food? And maybe even saying, oh, are you okay with having it in Spanish or English or both, or a country that completely is a language and neither of us speak? So try to test what their comfort level is, and first take them to a country where they will feel comfortable. And then, because that's what I did first, I took my mom to Spain, and then she was like, oh, this is good. And then after that, I took her to Morocco. And then, then after that, I took her to Italy. So little by little, la llevé a diferentes lugares until then I took her to China. And then in China, she was like, oh my God. So now she loves traveling. So she goes on trips all the time. And my brother takes her also on different cruises. And the benefit sometimes of the cruises is that you can get off in the different cities and explore the cities, the countries where you go to. So she has been to 15 countries already. Little by little.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, because this is the thing, our parents, they come here, they sacrifice so much to give us this life. And then it's like, what are we doing with that life? Are we bringing them on that journey? So once you are established and you can do more than what they did, invite them to be with you, to come with you, to demystify all of those things that the news and the media puts out there about these countries. Like my mom told me, don't go to Guatemala, que eso se está acabando. And I'm like, have you ever been to Guatemala? No. So how you know que eso se está acabando? And what I did is, when I was there, le mandé photos, trips, having a blast. Picture. And then she's like, oh, okay. So it's not like
they live, ellos lo viven eso.
She will never tell me, but she will tell everybody else how proud she is of me. And I'm like, you know our parents, how they are sometimes.
No, yes. They're like, oh my God, my daughter's so brave. She's amazing, but she won't tell you that. Yeah, my mom is actually retiring this year, and that's one of her goals to travel. So it's good to know like how to help her decide on destinations, to help her select the right ones.
I'm reading a book right now. Where is it? It's about like traveling with your mom and how to like create those kind of trips.
Oh wow.
And I'm like, and how to like let them go with the flow. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to do like a solo trip, like just my mom and I, because always we travel like with groups. I brought her with my students or with my brothers, but I'm like just her and I, and the trip not designed to me, designed to her. Like, what does she want? And just do everything she wants. So one of the places she wants to go is the UAE, Dubai, Abu Dhabi. So I'm like, oh, I want to take her there because I've been 3 times,
her compadre,
4
my
times.
mom's compadre actually just went, and she was so impressed because he was like, he went to the desert and he was wearing like a kafia and he rode a camel. So after she saw that, she se puso loca. She was like, oh no, I need to go to Dubai because if my compadre could do it, I can do it too. I was like, of course you can.
And that's why representation is so important. Because once you see someone else who looks like you doing it, then you feel like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Ima from the same town. Like they're from the same town like over there in DR.
That's why I do what I do. I'm like, can I show you other people who are also doing it, who are also out there? So you don't feel like you're alone in this journey, like, oh, tú eres la única. No, there are other people too.
I love that. So, Vanessa, what inspired you to create the Latino Travel Fest? Because, like, obviously you have Latino World Travelers, which was, like, initially a Facebook group. Now it's grown to a community on Instagram. What inspired you to create the Travel Fest so that it's like a meetup of all these amazing people that travel, that are Latino, here in New York? Well, not New York, in the tri-state area.
Yes. So one, it was trying to get them to gather them together in person. That was one, because I was doing already like meetups here and there in different cities. But I'm like, how can I bring them all together? The people from LA, from Miami, from Chicago, New Jersey, New York. Like we have community members in Texas, everybody. How can I bring them together so they can actually network and collaborate? And so many friendships were born because of this conference, and people collaborating together, hosting trips now, like founding companies together. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to see. And also like educate them, have accessible information, because that is one of the biggest deterrent in why there aren't as many Latinos as I would like to see traveling out there. Having accessible information of, like, when I tell you I went to Guatemala, I went and I paid 69 cents per night in the hotel. Why? Because the app where you book reservations, Open Table?
Yes.
We all know it. But did you know that you earn points every time you book?
Oh, wow.
And those points you can redeem it in kayak. So
wow.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh, if you normally go to eat with your friends, you go to brunch here and there, to dinner with your significant other, you're accumulating the points there. So might as well put them to use. And you don't have to pay anything. You're literally making a reservation. So I'm like, or like if you're booking Airbnb or Airbnb experiences, if you go through delta.airbnb.com, you earn miles for Delta just by booking Airbnbs. So it's like double dipping. So these are like, exactly. So I'm like, see, if you just go straight to Airbnb.com, you're missing out. So those are like
pero usted no diga par de tips bueno ahí.
So it's like, how can we teach our community about these little things that are happening here and there that don't cost you anything to do? And this way you can travel more. Because those people that travel first class, business class, most of them are not paying for that. No. It's usually because of points or miles that they earn with maybe credit cards, the sign-up bonuses and things like that. So also demystifying like credit cards. Because some people are very afraid of utilizing them. But if we show them how to use them properly, what kind of credit cards are best fit for you and for your lifestyle. Like you don't necessarily want to get like the Amex Platinum, because that one is $650 annual fee. But if you can get like another one, that can give you some points here and there when you go to the supermarket, because we all go to the supermarket. when you put gas in your car. So you find the credit card that applies to you the most, and then you use it and you pay it off right away. And little by little you accumulate. I have like almost 2 million points accumulated that I don't have time to use them all because I'm working a lot too. So, but I've gone to Alaska for $12, 10,000 miles and $12. Why? Because I know Delta launches a deal every summer to go to Alaska. So I'm like, oh, okay, one of these years I'm gonna get it.
That's amazing.
And I've already been to 40 states.
Wow.
I'm going to Utah in April.
Did you see the what's it called? The Aurora Borealis?
Yeah, no, because I went in the summer.
Okay.
Yes, but I had a great time. You know, I mean, that state is one of the best states that I've ever been, and I'm definitely going to go back.
Oh, okay.
The food, they have colossal...
There's a large Dominican community in Alaska también.
There is? I
had a friend from like early college years, and she was like, my family and I, we want to move to Alaska. And I'm like, why? And she's like, oh, there's a large Dominican community. I'm like, is there?
¿Dónde? Let me know.
That's a great question. I don't know. I actually lost contact with that person, but like, it's funny because like wherever there's a Dominican, we're gonna find one. Like literally, it's like, what is it, magnetic or something? Like, it's always like that in every country.
I went to a Mexican restaurant, and because the owner was Mexican, and there was not even one Mexican person in the whole restaurant.
It was just Dominican.
No, it wasn't Dominican. It was just Canadian. I mean, no Canadians. People from Alaska.
Alaskan people. Okay, interesting.
And I'm like, oh,
that's so
okay.
Funny.
Oh, I was hoping to connect.
Que está muy frío para allá. Like.
But in the summer, it's not cold. It's actually in the 70s and 80s. And the thing is the sun doesn't go down.
Oh, it's just sunny the whole day.
So at midnight, the sun is out. But then it's 3:00 in the morning in New York. So
but does it throw off your circadian rhythm when you come back?
Yes, the brain is like, what is happening? It's 3:00 in the morning, but the sun is out. Yeah, so that was fascinating.
Oh my goodness. So tell us about the Latino Travel Fest. I love that you're getting all these people together, and there's so many speakers that you already booked, which is dope. Where can people purchase a ticket?
So they can go to our website, latinotravelfest.com. So this is 3 days, a weekend where we have Creators Day, we have Travelers Day, and then we have an inspiration brunch. And we have different workshops and panels with different speakers. We have over 30 speakers that are going to come to teach you everything. How to travel with your family, how to decolonize travel. So we have like all of these important conversations to make sure that you feel equipped to go out there, travel confidently, travel cheaper, travel better, travel more, you know? So make sure you join us because my goal is to diversify the face of travel. I want to go to places and see more people who look like me because I'm tired of going to places and only seeing white people. So please, let's be part of this movement so we can see more people who look like us. And like you say, it takes one, you know. And I'm doing it. I'm doing it scared. I cry as I plan this fest, but I have so many incredible people that are supporting me. We have 7 volunteers helping me to put this together. That's how much they believe in this vision of like having diversity in travel
and decolonizing travel. I love that.
Yeah. So I literally just went to a conference. There was not even one speaker that was Latino, not even one. And I'm
that's sad. And I'm glad that you're doing the work to put us out there and to expand our minds too, because it's one thing to say that you want to do something, but then seeing somebody do it is completely like, it's amazing to see. And the fact that obviously you say that you're not brave, but I feel like you're very, very brave. And yes, and like going out there and doing it scared regardless and seeing and showing people that nothing's going to happen. Like the worst that can happen is you getting your own way and preventing yourself from doing certain things.
Yeah. Which has happened sometimes too, but you know, you go through those struggles and you find support. Like I go to like a lot of conferences and like I find resources and I'm like, I'm going to take this course. Oh, this company offers, this nonprofit offers free coaching. Oh, I'm going to get that business coach. So that's the good thing it's about me, that I love to learn and I love to absorb information. I just need to like put it into practice, you know?
Yes,
a little bit more.
Vanessa, any new projects this year of where Latino World Travelers, or for the fest? I mean, obviously the fest is happening in what are the dates again?
It's from May 31st to June 2nd, and it's going to be right here in Elizabeth, New Jersey. So last year I did it in New York because I was living in New York before, and I'm like, oh, I want to do it in my community where I used to live. Now I live in New Jersey, so I'm like, oh, I want to bring it here. Nice. Where I live now. But my goal is to take it to different states and through different parts of the world, to different countries. I'm like, I want to host one in Europe. I want to host one in Latin America. And I put it in my vision board. I'm like, one day it's going to happen. One day.
It will.
Yes. But for the next steps, it's just like collaborating with like big brands and organizations to get the word out there. And I eventually want to create like a travel scholarship or like a grant, because for high school students, whether it is to get their first passport or to fund their next trip, or even for college students, like, oh, do you want to go study abroad? Apply for this scholarship. So that's what I want to do.
That's so interesting. Yeah, it's important. Another thing I used to take for granted because we're immigrants is that I've had a passport since I was 0, and now everybody has had that. So I'm just like, what do you mean you don't have a passport? So like teaching also people of color that it's okay, you can have a passport, and it just opens up more doors to see different things and explore different things and get to know yourself better as a traveler as well. So
is that sometimes they don't have a passport because they cannot even visualize themselves traveling, so they're like, why to get it? But it's like, get it because you never know what opportunities may arise that will require for you to like pick up and go.
This is true.
So
I am going to end the episode here. Vanessa, thank you so much for coming on the show. You are amazing. I want to just end it how I usually end it, which is follow me at Comadreando Pod on Instagram. And you can follow Vanessa. Vanessa, can you drop your handle, please?
Yes, follow me at Latina World Traveler. I'm usually very active in my stories. I don't post as much, but you can find me in my stories. And the community, Latino World Travelers and Latino Travel Fest as well. So yes, follow us and join our newsletter, because every Sunday I send a really good newsletter with a lot of like resources of grants, scholarships, giveaways, and things that you can win. So definitely.
Awesome. Thank you. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to send me a Comadre-Gram via email at Marcy at comadreandopod.com or slide up into my DMs. Please visit our website, www.comadreandopod.com, and to read our latest blog post, find out about future events, and to get official Comadre merch. Welcome, Vanessa. You've been my Comadre, but like officially. You're the Comadre of the show. And I just want to, I can't wait to have you back on after your fest so that we can share more with the Comadres of what it was like.
Yes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for inviting me to your podcast, and looking forward to connecting with you again.
All right. Bye. Take care.
Bye, everyone.